Hi everybody, it's me again, Jack Wallen, and I am here on a rainy, Thursday? Yeah, the HVAC people are here fixing our upstairs heating unit because it's gotten kind of cold and it crapped out on us, and well, you know how that goes. But anyway, they're making a ton of noise, and I don't know if they're almost done, but I'm risking recording this because who knows what's going to happen. We're in bizarro world anyway. And no one knows what's going to happen in this world. Oh my God, can you believe it? This is just crazy. So what do I want to talk about today? Well, I could talk about how crazy the world is, because it is. You know it is. But that's not what I'm going to talk about. So a while back, I got on Blue Sky, the social network. And I tried it. I thought, well, it's all right, but not doing anything for me. And then, Elon Musk. Do I need to say anything more? Bleh. So I'm leaving Twitter. And I thought, well, let's give Blue Sky another try. I did, and I wound up really liking it. There's no algorithms there. They're not pushing an agenda like Elon Musk is. There are all sorts of really cool things that are happening over there on the Blue Sky. And I highly recommend, if you're into social media and you're on Twitter, that you migrate to Blue Sky, because it is much nicer. The level of crazy there is about here, whereas on Twitter, it's about, I can't reach that high. Okay, so here's the point. I was scrolling on around Blue Sky and posting some things, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to do the thing that I'm really, really bad at, and that is promote my work. So I thought, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a book that I think would be a good introductory book to the Blue Sky people, and I'm going to post a link to it. So I went over to Amazon, and I jumped on my author page on Amazon, and I started scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Yes, this is my universal gesture for scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Oh my gosh. And I got kind of depressed. I did. I was looking at the ratings and the lack of reviews and the rankings and all of that. And then I put the two and two together of how much I've been making from my books on Amazon, and I thought, what in the hell am I doing? I've been a writer for almost 30 years. My first book was published around 20 years ago. That was A Blade Away. And I am still struggling mightily. Now, to be fair, every writer I know is struggling mightily. I think I know 2 writers personally that make a living from their books, and they are B-list writers. I don't personally know any A-list writers, but I know some B-list writers. I also know some B-list writers that aren't making a living from their work, because being an artist is really hard, and making a living as an artist is even harder. So I fought it hard that whole day to not let it get me down, and it was a struggle, but I did manage to not allow that to drag me into the dark abyss of depression. Now, had I done that 10 years ago, I wouldn't have stood a chance. I would have spiraled down, and I'd be like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? It's just so hard, and there's no payback, and blah, 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 blah. And I realized that every writer I know is going through the same thing. So why not talk about it? Why not remind everyone, not just writers, artists in general, that there's something better? Now, don't get me wrong. I want to make a living from my art as much as every artist out there. That's the truth. I would love so much to be able to just trust that the books that I write are going to actually generate an income, period. You know, and I post things on social media, and I'm going to say this because I think it needs to be said. I'll post something on social media about this sort of things, anything adjacent to this, and I'll get responses from other writers. Like today, I saw a response from a writer saying, "Hey, I sold a book last month. Ooh, that was exciting." And then I realized, well, it's also relative. I've heard from my publisher, you know, when I got my royalties from my last quarter royalties from my publisher, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope that something gives." And she was like, "Yes, I do too, but just know that I've had to send royalty checks to other writers that were exponentially less." And then she gave me a figure, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't feel so bad. I don't feel so bad that, I mean, I'm selling books. I am. It's just not what it used to be." So what is this magical thing that you can do that I do to help me, to help you, help me to help you, to help me to help you? If you get that reference, you're pretty cool. What can I offer you? Well, here it is. So as that information, that seeing the lack of reviews and the ratings and all that, after seeing that and feeling that pull downwards, I knew what I had to do. And this is key to every artist out there. This is the key to surviving the struggle. So one of the most important things to me as an artist is the concept of always getting better, always improving. Every time I start to write a new book, my goal is to make it better than the book I previously wrote. And that progress, that improvement, for me, is as important as selling a book or rankings or reviews. Because for me, this is just for me, and it might apply to you, I don't know, but for me, the idea of being an artist is about serving the craft. It's about being honest and genuine with your skills and with the level of your skills, and with the idea that if you keep improving, if you keep getting better at what you do, eventually it's going to pay off. And even if the payoff is just knowing on a daily basis that you're improving what you do, that might be good enough. Look, I have on occasion gone back to that first book I wrote, which is A Blade Away, about 20 years ago, and I'll give it a read. I'll give just a snippet, just a page, maybe, paragraph, a chapter, whatever. I'll give it a read. And then what I do is I then jump to the most recent book I've ever written. In this case, it would be Violent Delights, Deadly Departed. And I read a snippet of that, and I compare them. I compare the growth. Have I grown from beginning to now? And if I'm being completely transparent and honest, when I compare those two, I see massive growth in my skills, in my ability to portray characters, to create relationships, to tell a story, to craft a sentence. Now, that's not to say my early writing is bad. It's not. I'm very proud of that early writings, because you can actually see in that early writings the beginnings of my writer voice. It was there. It just needed to be polished. And when I compare those two, the feeling that I get, the pride that I get from that comparison, and knowing that I have improved as much as I have as a writer, that pride is a bigger payoff to me than rankings or reviews or anything like that. Now, yes, of course, I'm not going to lie. I want to make a living from my art. When I was a full-time actor with Actors Equity Association, that's the Actors Union, I was so proud. I was so happy. Life was so good. I was living the dream, literally living the dream. And it didn't matter how much money I made. And trust me, I did not make much money as an equity actor. When I have my very first contract that I ever signed as an equity actor, and when I look at the amount I made, I laugh. I laugh. But at the same time, I was so happy and so proud and just thrilled at the idea that I was making a living as an actor. Now, here's the thing, and I was talking to my therapist the other day about this very idea, that back then when I was a union actor, everything, I was single, so I had a lot of time on my hands, but everything I did was done to improve myself as an actor. I would literally spend hours at home working on things. I remember once I don't remember what show I was doing, but I was doing a show, and there was a particular movement that I was trying to work out with a character. Not just like a gesture, a single gesture, or a cross to another part of the stage, but the embodiment of movement within this character. And I spent hours at home trying to hone that. And it showed. The work paid off. And I was constantly trying to find new ways to improve what I did. Because I knew the competition was fierce. And I wasn't the absolute best I could be, and improving every day, I was not going to succeed. And the same thing holds true for me as a writer. I'm always trying to, whenever I sit down to write a new book, my goal is to make that book better than the book that I just wrote. I will be going back through something I wrote. Like, as you probably know, I've told you before that I'll write 1,000 words. Then the next night I'll reread the 1,000 words, and I'll kind of rewrite those 1,000 words and make it better, improve it. Then I'll write another 1,000 words. But there have been times when I have come across a sentence or a paragraph and I just wasn't happy with it. And I would spend 15, 20 minutes working on that sentence or that paragraph just to make it perfect. Just so that it fit in with the character or the story or the universe, and make sure that it was in my voice and that it was as good as it could be. Only to know full well that the next night I was going to go back and reread it and go, yeah, I can tweak it a little more. I'm always pushing myself, always pushing myself to get better. Here's a good example. So my editor, in the first edits of Violent Delight's Deadly Departed, she made note that I overused the word moment. I don't know why. I like that word moment. I like the way it rolls off the tongue. I like the way it looks. I like the things it says, but I overuse it. So knowing that, I'm like, okay, you know what? The next book I write, I'm not going to use that word at all. I'm going to find other words to use in place of it. Not only does that improve my work, but it improves my skill because I have to figure out different ways to say moment. You know, and I do things, I subscribe to word of the day, and I'm always trying to add new words into my vocabulary. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. Sometimes I'll get a word that's like, I'll never use that, or I don't have a character that would ever say that, and I'll set it aside. But it's always in the back of my head. Get better. Be a better artist. But that also is in line with me as a person because I'm always trying to be a better person. With every day, I try to find something I can do to make me a better person. And that's not necessarily has anything to do with me making my life better. And sometimes it's about making other people's lives better, because that's what being a better person is. And the concept of being a better artist simply means I have to be better today than I was yesterday. And the day after that, I have to be better than tomorrow. I just have to every day take one step forward with my craft. And if I keep doing that, then every book I write is going to be better than the one I previously wrote. And if I do that, then I know that I am improving as a writer. And that payoff is immense. And it's important. Because the last thing you want as an artist is to become stagnant. Because being stagnant as an artist, you may as well be going backward. Always, always be looking forward. Always be looking for ways to improve what you do. And the pride that you will gain in that is far better than any review or rating you can get. And hopefully, in the end, the metaphorical end, not the literal end, the metaphorical end, in the end, it'll pay off. And with every improvement you make in your craft, other people will notice. And when they notice, word will get out. I know, I have absolute faith that one of these days, I'm going to write the book that everyone is going to take notice of. And when they do, they're going to go, oh, look, he's got all of these other books to read. Whoopee, let's have some fun. Let's read all these books. Let's read them. But to read them, we got to buy them. You see how that works? So don't let the lack of reviews or ratings or sales get you down. You're an artist. You're used to this. Artists are used to rejection. It is part and parcel to the gig. I have dealt with rejection all of my life. So, as long as I'm not rejecting my craft and my craft is not rejecting me, I'm good. And I know it's not easy. It is, I mean, it's not easy being an artist, period. The hurdles and pitfalls that we have to deal with are sometimes insurmountable. But when those times come, hold on to that improvement that you've made as an artist and let that be the thing that gets you through. And it will. And what you'll get out of it is a sense of pride. And it'll be like a snowball. You'll see that improvement and you'll start thinking, I want to improve, I want to get better. I want to be as good as I can be. And when that takes the place of I want to sell as many books as I can, you sort of reach this plane of enlightenment and peace of mind. Because You getting better is in your control. How many books you sell is not in your control. So always be acting on things that you can control. And as far as the things you can't control, don't let them get you down. Because quite frankly, there's very little you can do about it. But getting better at what you do, you can certainly do something about that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. It means the world to me, because I know that there's so many things you need to get done, and life is calling you, but you've taken 20 or so minutes to sit here with me and listen to me blather on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.